Good morning, Giants. Welcome to Wake Up with Giants TV. Have you ever wondered how to alleviate somatic suffering with talk, touch, and movement? Stick around.
It's not going to go.
Good morning, Giants. Welcome to Wake Up with Giants TV. I'm Ryan Morris, and as always, I'm here with your host, Nicholas T. Smith, the author of The Giants and the Smalls. We got a great show, but if you haven't subscribed on YouTube, go ahead and do that. Hit the alert button so you know when we go live every single dang time. Join us on Facebook, A Tribe of Giants. It's a great community of people just trying to do their best in life and create magic and amazing things. Nick, will you introduce our guest and catch us up on any other things that I didn't mention?
I will if I don't freeze. Can you still hear me?
I can hear you. You sound beautiful.
My camera just went away, so I'll work on that while we do this. But I'll go ahead and introduce Joey. We love it, man. When the tech goes bad, that's going to be a good. It's going to be a good show.
Amazing.
So after crafting a highly regarded yoga bodywork studio in Toronto for nearly 10 years, Joey has a wholly original way to facilitate the awakening and restoring of muscles, fascia, and joints, resulting in a somatic integration that is creating a stir of excitement and inspiration for all of those who have experienced it. So because of his work, many people have experienced a breakthrough in overcoming chronic physical challenges that have previously seemed too formidable to overcome. Others have claimed that his work has restored their sense of somatic sovereignty and fluidity, and something they've never felt would be available to them during the aging process. Whether engaged in a single session or in an ongoing series of somatic intensives, Joey's work is truly transformative. His disarming joyfulness and true commitment to the alleviation of somatic suffering provides a sacred container for heart and mind. And we've been able to meet Joey, just a cool dude, just joyful, relaxed. You'll just be at peace just listening to his voice and way of talking. So, Joey, welcome.
Thanks for having me, guys. Thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
You're welcome.
Hey.
We'll probably
Hey,
you're back, bro. You're back. Yes.
It's like if I touch my computer in any way, it just kills the video.
Don't touch anything.
Don't touch it. I'm gonna keep back here like Talladega Nights.
Don't know what to do with your
Don't know what
hands.
to do with my hands.
I don't know what to do.
You put them down. Joey, we are going to dive into your journeys, your philosophy. The beauty of this show is that we highlight the journeys, the Giants' journey, from wherever you are. We have people that are beginning their journeys. We have people that are, well into their journeys, and wherever you are at is kind of what we want to dive into. So I like to go back in time a little bit and either look at an awakening moment in your life or go back to development, the things that you learned during development. And it's totally up to you. Wherever you want to start, we'll use that as a start point, and then we'll kind of launch from there. So do you have a point you want to start at?
Awakening moment in my life. Through any time in my life specifically.
Yeah, totally up to you.
Wow. Well, what comes to mind is a conversation that I think I feel yeah, I do. I feel comfortable having now, but in the past, it's been such that I couldn't even have it,
Yeah.
And so, when I was 24, I had a heart surgery. I had 3.5 cups of extra fluid in the pericardium.
Oh, yeah.
I like to say my heart was too big. But
we need sound effects, man. Like
I know.
Punch.
You do have a big heart, so
exactly. So, but I, sometime after that, I found that. Hey, Hugh, what's up? I found that I was like, I grew up in this culture, and so many of my good friends and family are in this culture. And I just want to say, the other day I was with a missionary friend of mine, one of my best friends. He was my mission companion. And I just love this guy so much. And the point of the story of transformation I'm about to say is that I kind of transitioned away from the church, and I sort of cut it off in some major ways. But the other day I was with this friend of mine, and he still has his heart in the church, and his whole family beautifully. His whole family treats me so well, and I love them all. And I notice very frequently when he talks about the church at all, there can be this moment where there seems like there gets to be this shame that we're disconnected. Because I did cut it off pretty hardcore. And he kind of he'll be like, well, my church. And he kind of like looks down or something. And then I was like, hey, yeah, I guess I won't mention his name, but I was like, let's call him Mike. I was like, hey, Mike, I appreciate what you said about blah, blah, blah. I was like, another thing, when you say my church, will you say ours? Will you say our church? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, it just felt like a good gift to give to him. And I want to give that to all the viewers of mine and all the family of mine who do consider yourself in that I'm happy to include myself in your church and disinclude or whatever, exclude myself as well in my own way, how I want to. But as family and friend, like, I'm a Mormon the same way I'm American, even though I lived in Canada, So anyways, after the heart surgery, I realized that for me, at least, it was I think anybody within faith, there's mechanisms for dealing with faith struggle within a faith, even like they have them there because people deal with them, what do people do when they have struggles with their faith within a faith? That faith will have, or that religion will have, mechanisms for dealing with it. So I definitely recognized after the heart surgery, I was like, man, I'm not really sure beyond a shadow of a doubt that this thing is that. I kind of practiced telling people that because they sort of told me to, as a kid. So I was like, I'm going to try even harder. And then I tried even harder. I really became mega Mormon man, like even more so, like super duper. And as I was asked to give a talk in church one time, I was like, yes, I'll do it. And as I began to prepare, everything broke in the world. And I was like, dang it, I don't believe in this, And I was like, I know I don't, And that moment was a big moment of unraveling and figuring out how to consciously, carefully be able to meet people that weren't in my culture even, and things like this. So that's a pretty big transition.
Well, let's play with that for a minute, because it's the idea you had an identity tied to it, and when it got challenging, there's this thought that comes up of just try harder. You just need to try harder. And there's that version of, like you said, the mechanism of faith of just try harder, which is, that trusting it and trying harder, but still no change or outcome. And it doesn't just apply to religion. I see that in other areas. When it comes to the coaching world, I hear that as well. Well, you just need to try harder. Or, in any business, you just need to try harder. I've done sales for 10 years plus, and it's like, well, here's the mechanism, just try harder. But then I don't fit within that mold. So it's like, I can try harder, but I just don't believe in what you're teaching me. Right.
Yeah.
So there's no change.
Yeah.
Can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah. I mean, it's even somewhat similar to what we were saying a little bit before we got on the call here, like with a product that I bought to help out my business, and, legitimate concerns with that product not being what it was sold to me as the solution for. And them just saying, well, I know you can do this, but them not addressing my my concern, actually. I would say that a conversation like this makes me think that one must develop a lot of grit in their life. One must develop a lot of strength and be able to clearly distinguish and be able to not take. One must be able to say to someone, hey, I respect what you're saying, but that's not true. I respect you. It's like, I think that you can, let's say that I've had people be in a sales conversation with me, and by the end, I wasn't going to buy what they were selling me. And then they were like, well, I thought you were serious about your problem. And I'm like, whoa, hey, you've spent a good 30 minutes talking to me, and I appreciate it. But I won't. I take the stance that I will speak up for myself, and just because I'm not going to buy your product doesn't mean that I don't care about what's going on for me. And I just want to. I want that to be clear in this conversation. So, I would say that it's important for us. It's important for me. I've been happy to develop this ability to, in the face of such a strong force, be able to stand up for myself and be able to not take the frames that they're framing me in, kind of, you know, people will frame people very, very frequently in those ways.
You're talking about the distinction between invitation and obligation and then manipulation, right?
Absolutely.
It goes from that invitation to do something, but it really wasn't an invitation. It was an obligation because you didn't have the right to say no. And then when you did say no, it became a manipulation.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was a guarding of your boundary, which maybe there's another Asian we could throw in there for your boundaries.
Stipulation.
Yeah, I like it, Brian.
Yeah.
Then you had
perpetuation.
Yeah, I like it. But truthfully, just owning your truth, whatever that is. So you stepping into what your truth is and then owning that and having others honor that where they are. But see, what I hear when you talk to your friend of, can we just call it our religion, is I don't need you to see it my way. I don't need to see it your way. We can have our things, you know, they can be different, but they're still ours, right?
Yeah.
There's a beauty in incorporating it that way, to where it's like, I don't need to tear down anything that you have, but I also want that over here.
Yeah. Thank you for hearing that. I like how you heard that about what I was saying. That's really great. Yeah.
I think we're gonna have a lot of hearing in this, because I hear you hearing me, hearing you, and
yeah,
it makes me want to hear you more. So
what did you say?
Ryan's over here on the phone, like, huh?
Let's go back again. I like this thought came to me, is where it's not true for me. Like, your truth can be your truth, but it might not be my truth, right? So it's not true for me, but there's a healthy respect for somebody's way of being. And Hugh said this too, no surrender of who you be. So you could be who you are, and I can respect that. And then for me, it might not be my truth. It's your truth, but it's not my truth.
Yeah. I think there are also opportunities for us to purposefully be a bit more fierce about that, you know, like, and that's developmentally important at times, you know, like when I first cut off kind of sort of everything in my life, you know, my dad at one point, he's like, well, you at least believe in Jesus, don't you? And I was like, no.
Like the other direction.
not like maybe that strong, but I was like, no, I don't, man. I don't, you know. And then some years later, just a few years ago now, I saw some Mormon missionaries on the subway in Toronto. I guess it would have been at least 3 years ago or so now. And anytime I see missionaries, if I got a few seconds, I always talk to them. Doesn't matter which type they are. If they're standing on the corner yelling at people, I'll try to listen to them and make them be listened to in a way they've never been listened to. You know, like I'll kind of like follow their, and you know, and then if I agree with them, I'll be like, if I disagree, I'll kind of like, you know, it's fun, you know. But these missionaries, missionaries, what's up? How's your mission going? Oh, cool, yeah, then they eventually asked me, so do you believe in Jesus? And I was like, you know, the word belief, like that can mean many things, you know, but like I could say, and I had a beard and long hair. I could say, you know, his story and his life inspires me, you know, and I think I playfully added in something like, even check out my look, even, you know, like,
yeah.
So, you know, like when my dad asked me that, I do admit it became an opportunity for me to draw something, and maybe it was a little harsh, but now if he were to ask me that, I would be like, man, what do you mean when you even ask that? That's such a cool question, you know, and that's such an interesting thing. Like, what do you mean by the word belief, and what do you think it means to believe specifically in Jesus or something like this, you know? And then I think that can lead to like a really cool conversation. I think,
moving into that curiosity over it versus a competition over it of who's right and wrong, goes into the in groups and out groups. It eliminates that. I mean, when you come into it, it diffuses that to where you don't even have that as a possibility. It's just pure curiosity. Tell me what it's like over there. What's it like to see the world the way you see the world? What's it like to experience it from there? And then here's where I'm at. I wonder if there's something that we could blend together between those two worlds. And that's communication. Now, your idea that the title of the show, The Somatic Suffering, I would imagine that when there's a dissonance and a stress between what you feel as a truth and what you share out here, which might be a variation of that because you want to fit in or you want to be accepted, would create some somatic suffering. Like you would feel it in your body. It would be stored in there. and it would start to have an impact on the body because you're in stress.
Yeah.
You're disconnected. Like what you're offering is a way to get back to peace and understanding, whereas most of us don't do that. We store it in our body. We're tense. Our shoulders are hunched up, right? And then there's pain and suffering within us because we're not being truthful to who we are. Is that, am I accurate or?
Certainly accurate, I think. And it applies to the work I do. You know, often I say the kind of work I do, at least with clients, I got sort of clients and then I got students. With clients, though, it's usually a one-on-one session, and I call it embodiment and body work session, or a holy encounter or something. There's a few different ways I might call it, but usually it's 1 full hour of me completely being physically totally in charge, and them completely physically being totally like rested. You know, I'm almost like a boa constrictor sometimes, like wrapping around them and using my chin even, and you know, maybe having them rest up on my feet and pulling them and things like this. But for the conversation part, I notice often, you know, like I say, it's a full, I give a 2-hour window. It could be as little as an hour and a half that they need to take. I don't want to take less than an hour and a half, but I want us to have at least 2 hours so that there can be a bunch of conversation. And very often I notice, well, not very often, I don't know if that's often or not, but sometimes I notice that someone comes in with a troubled mind, a troubled heart, a troubled spirit. And, you know, they'll sort of exaggerate something, and then later in the conversation, they'll kind of diminish it. And there's when I say what I, you know, people ask me what is it that I do. I like saying I have these H words: healthy, healing, humble, heroic, happy, harmonious, human talk, touch, and movement is what I do and what I teach. And I hope to make that actually something that I can give to humanity as a cultural inheritance, that it not be a business, but that it be a thing that we all own, the same way we all owned the music before Apple Music did, or something like this. Or I know that's a very, very idealistic thing, but in that, the talk, touch, and movement thing, the talk thing is, you know, it's obviously, it's more like communication in some ways, but it doesn't rhyme as much. So it has to do with hearing. And when I can say to the person, I noticed the first time you said that, it was real like definite. And then as we talked more about it, you were kind of like not as sure. And I was like, and then I give them the grace of saying, you know, as humans, we do this. We kind of don't know, you know, we kind of, until we get a little bit of reflection, we're kind of not sure. What would you say is more true? You were very certain at first, and now you're kind of not. Is it, which one's it more true? And I actually know of a few situations that someone was definitely in lies, and they were being supported by in their lies. And that if I would have supported them with their lies, their life would have been destroyed in some ways, you know, like and I knew that it was lies because you know, anyways, it's a very personal kind of conversation, one that's coming to mind, but that dissonance, I think I'm referring to what you were asking about. Anyways,
Yeah, you're doing great. Yep. I would imagine that if I were in a situation where I'm wrapped up by some dude like an anaconda, that at first I would be very guarded and not feeling very safe in my body or in conversation initially, right? But as you relax, if you can relax into that and your body starts to relax, and here you are having a conversation that you're finding that you're trusting and it's safe, and you really are in a vulnerable state because you're leaning over into somebody else's hands, that when you do feel that safety, that you'll open up more truthfully. And truthfully is simply your relative truth, depending on what you're speaking. There might be some collective truth that we have, but I'm talking about the relative truth. The story that you're telling would start to come out more fully because now you're in a space where you can express it without having worry of it being wrecked or destroyed. Like the idea of a belief as a, you know, from the German Glauben, which means to hold dear. It's what you hold dear. And so you wouldn't just open that up and hand it over to anybody because it's very important to you. You hold that dear. It would be like handing it over and they take a baseball bat to your curio cabinet. It's like, you just wouldn't like that. But here Joey Lundgreen comes in and wraps you up like an anaconda would, and relaxes you and starts having that conversation. You start to feel safe and you start to share those things that you hold dear. And then there's some releasing. I would imagine there'd be some release in that.
Definitely. Yeah.
Is that accurate?
It is. I mean, so someone, let's say, like when they come to me, I feel like when they first come in, generally I might have a few different places for them to be able to sit themselves. And let's say we're in this space, I'd be like, hey, what looks like the most comfortable place for you to sit? I might be like, we'll be working here, so if you want to go ahead and get started there, or here, I'm going to make some tea, just rest yourself for a moment or whatever. And then my job at that point is to just just kind of, before I really do anything like anaconda-ness or anything like that, usually
The
it
official
depends.
term. Yeah.
What's that?
You're gonna have to put that in the label: happiness, anaconda-ness.
Yeah.
Help trust.
My
Just
mind's
throw you
going.
off,
My
throw you
mind's
off.
going to a funny direction.
Right. There's probably
not a
another
direction I really
variation of that. Yeah.
Yeah, not a direction I really want to go with this
No.
exactly, but yeah, my job at that moment is just kind of ground them. Okay, yeah, today, ground, and nod, and this, okay, and then somehow at some point, and what's going on for your body specifically today, and they say some things. Let's say it's the first time I'm with them, then there's a script, and the script, it's not a definite script, but there's certain parables I use within it to make sure there's a space of grace and humility between us. And so that they, okay, so hey, so now we're gonna have this part. Okay, so your hip, whatever you said, and your shoulder, oh, you got a bruise. Okay, cool, and what? Okay, so this part of the conversation I pretty much always have, and if there's a lot of questions, it can take a while, but I'll make sure there's certain things that I will say. I'll be a little bit kind of definite, make sure and get through it, even if like someone is gonna kind of go off in the wrong direction. These parables help out. So this is a conversation between me and your nervous system, I say to the person. And in this way, we could say our nervous systems are like little kid protectors. And little kid protectors, what they do is they protect what's worked so far. So it could be that somebody that I'm working on you, and let's say you're a quiet person. I have clients that are, make noise the whole time. It sounds like I'm either killing them or giving them an orgasm. And
one of the two.
Yeah, they're almost the same thing, But and by the way, just to be honest, in this conversation here, those clients who have that, they actually get a better massage from me than anybody, because they kind of direct me the whole time, like non-verbally. There's like this, stay there, back up, little back up, and it's kind of non-verbal, a little verbal. It's really kind of great. If I'm on somebody and they go, can you go down more? I don't know which way down is actually, or something, or do that again, what again, it's there's a lot of things that have happened, so it's okay for us to not quite understand each other. But anyway, so in this conversation where I'm having it with them, I will say, so I might be with you, let's say it's a generally quiet client, and I'm like, here, and then suddenly here there's one, they make a sound. They make one sound, and I'll back off a little bit. I'll kind of work around that for a few seconds, maybe shake it out, and I'll say, hey, hey, Nicholas, hey, Ryan, or whoever, that little that you made, was that something you want me to work more on, or should I sort of stay on the edge of that more? Maybe. And then this might happen, and they might say, did I make a noise? And because they don't know, they're kind of in a different kind of time zone, and they kind of don't know exactly what's happening, but they also might direct me. And my job is to not be like, kind of, this is another thing. I'm not here to be psychic. I'm not here to be special. I'm here to be in communication and relationship with you. I'm not saying something can't happen like that. I'm not saying something like that hasn't happened, but I focus more on being athletically honest and being in openness, communication, and humility and relationship with one another. There's a few other things I say in there, but then after establishing some context, we might get on the work, and then I might, while I'm working on them, I might be like, hey, you know that thing you said about your brother, as I'm sitting here, working on your shoulder or whatever, I'm wondering about this or that. So certainly,
man, I want to highlight this. I want to highlight and pull it out. I had an experience selling an RV once, and you look at the outside of it, is perfect. Thing looks great. Well, the thing was, I was selling to a blind man. He was blind. And so he used his hands, and he ran his hands across the side of the RV, and he said, there's delamination all over this whole thing. You can't see it, but he could feel it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what I hear in that is that he was able to construct and visualize in some form what was going on with his hands and the body, right?
Mm-hmm.
And as I watch you explain this, I mean, you're not using your eyes at all while you're talking to us. Even you're using the body to hear, and you're hearing those parts of the body where memory is stored, and you're listening to that part of the body where the memory is stored, and you're pulling that out to where they can actually process that thing they didn't even know was there. They don't even know they said, oh, you know, when it comes to trauma and things like that, they're stored throughout the body. I would imagine that there's some languaging that needs to be spoken that they're not even aware of throughout the body, that your way of listening allows that to be voiced and processed. And then the relaxed state that they're in allows them to do it from a space where the emotions aren't attached to it, where there's a full processing. The challenge with trauma is that they're so triggered emotionally that they can't process it. Plus, they don't even know where it's at in the body. Like what I see in you as you explain this is you're not using your eyes or your ears to hear them. You're doing a full body listening of this person, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
I see you do it right here while we're watching it. Like you are doing it and there's nobody there, but I could see you listening deeply to this person, right?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, that reminds me of when in listening, there are times where, you know, let's say that someone's laying down and I have their neck here.
Yeah.
I feel a call to, I'm like kind of like, I might like kind of reach over and pat their chest and go, hey, 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 hey. And I'm kind of trying to get them to say, hey, actually, you know, and the minute they go, hey, I go, yes, yeah, yeah. And I try to reward that. And so there gets to be the listening, you know, is at the beginning, verbal, you know, and it's also non-verbal, where I see when they talk about a thing, they might, you know, I might see that they kind of lower, or I might see that they get excited. And I, you know, when they get excited, that's cool, you get so excited, like that, that's so awesome, you know. Or when they get lower, I might get, you know, lower myself. But there's another kind of thing, there's like a non-verbal sort of thing, like that very often whenever, so let's say I've been working on somebody sitting up like me, sitting in a cross-legged position. I'm working on their neck and shoulders. I've got myself behind them. I'm supporting them with my leg. And then I'm going to pull them back onto their back. And the front body closes for safety reasons. Like a dog that hasn't been trained to lay on its back usually won't when it's older. I've fixed a few dogs like that, but uncommon, or most commonly when a dog hasn't been trained to sleep on its back, it won't, because it's dangerous kind of thing. So and then our modern society, books, computers, phones, cars, desks, has our front body muscles turned on a ton anyway. So there's lots of times where I've, you know, had someone come back like this and their hip flexors, I'm pointing to my hip flexors, their hip flexors there kind of won't turn off. And so there's some sort of somatic thing that'll happen in that, where I'm trying to lift their chest up and trying to get them to express, and that shaking there, and that hey, you know, sometimes it takes a little, and so suddenly they'll just say a little hey. I'll be like, yes, and then they might say yes. I'll be like, yes. And it's quite fun. They might get more into it. Yes, and I'll be like, yes, and you know, it's pretty interesting.
So I'm curious now, going into this, is how do you go from going back in time, like looking at your development history and kind of owning your voice around what you hold as a truth, to this as a practice, to where you allow that to come out through the entire body? How did that evolve in such a way that it was a construct at one point to a creation? Can you see a pathway there?
Can you say from what again?
From a construct or an idea, from a possibility, like what seeded this idea in you that the body can be worked in this way to where it went from that idea to this creation? Like
Okay.
what
Okay.
was
Yeah.
the bridge between those two?
Yeah. Well, in so many ways, again, about the my development as a kid, I can say, like, thankfully I have a loving mother, and even like I told you, like I said, in some big way I disassociated myself from the Mormon religion, but also I am a Mormon in many ways, and it people can see it in me that there's some Mormonism kind of way of being, but slash and um maybe because I had my little sister died when I was young. I think I was uh about 4.5 and she was like 4.5 months, and I think maybe I was just super overprotected and kind of wasn't there was a lack of challenge. I wasn't allowed to play sports or anything or really get a job or anything like that, and I kind of was on ADD medications and antidepressants and pathologized quite a bit, actually. And so when I left the church, in some way I was kind of undeveloped. The Mormon mission helped me develop a lot compared to, but I didn't, I was in special ed in school and stuff, and all the answers were given to me for the tests. I didn't really learn much in some way. So I kind of, when I left the church, I was in a major way, and it's not like this as much anymore, but I think that my family and friends just didn't know how to do anything other than kind of abandon me. And I made it easy for them by being angry at the church, in some ways, for sure.
Yeah.
And I just didn't know what to do, but I received a Thai massage, and then I liked it a lot. And then there was a 3-hour like kind of date night course on it or something like that I took with a girl, and I utilized that a lot. And then I took a 4-day course and I utilized it a lot, and I found that I was naturally pretty good at it. I didn't need much more than just that first 4-day training. And then after a year after that, I started teaching it myself, and I combined it with lots of my training in communication, nonviolent communication training, and tons of mind, heart, body movement stuff. Even, it's called Thai yoga massage, is the tradition that's the base of what I do as yoga massage. I don't call it Thai massage because it actually originates from India. And I mean, I really want to go to Thailand, but I don't think it matters so much that I call it Thai. If I would like to playfully call it Thai massage if afterwards we had some like massaman curry or something like that. But
but only if there's curry.
Yeah, exactly. There's got to be some Thai food after there or something like
right?
that.
Actually, now I'm hungry.
Yeah. But the yoga part of it, like how I developed everything. I've taught yoga for, you read it in the bio, and for many years, and I just could do, for some reason I could do, that was something I could do from an uneducated point of view naturally. Okay. I just felt like I could do it I didn't take a yoga teacher training. I did take Thai massage trainings, and I'm always educating myself more and more so, but it was just something that I felt like I could do very naturally for some reason. I'm not exactly sure why. And slowly but surely I'm developing it more and more to be my own way.
I see a pattern in it of your education, your learning is coming from, just like you work on the body, you're listening. So you have this curiosity around something that you maybe experience, and then you explore that and add that to your learning. And it's almost like listening to the body. The way you're describing it is that it's really fluid, that you're looking where it should flow naturally with what you're creating, which is, it's a unique iteration of Thai massage, because it's not Thai massage. It's Joey Lundgreen, whatever you want to call it, heart hiker massage. It's like, It's this variation and iteration that's been developed and created by the pathways that you're taking that are all unique. There's nobody else that would come down and take the exact same pathway you would take. Yours is so branched and bifurcated. It's like your fingerprint. It is unique to you because of the way that you went about learning it. And so instead of having a formal education where it's like really rigid and yeah, okay, he's of this domain and I know that because of this and I see this, and this as far as characteristics, yours flowed out naturally. Does that make sense?
Definitely. Yeah. I'm way outside of the lines of like normal bureaucracy and things like this. And because of that, it allows me to develop my way very naturally. That certainly so. And I'm very, very much into education though, you know, like I really encourage my students to go and get more and more education. And I'm finding mentors of mine that I'm really enjoying. And I think that in human design, are y'all familiar a little bit with that typing system?
A little bit, but go ahead and explain it for somebody. And I'll listen to.
I'm heavily influenced by what they call the natural, and which is like a hermit kind of. And they say that the characteristic is such that it's they say like archetypally it's kind of like everybody's on a parade, they're riding by your house, it's kind of dusk, you've got bright lights on in your house and you're working on a piece of art that you don't even understand, and everybody's looking in at you and being like, why doesn't he come out? But you're kind of like in this basement working on a thing like naked, and you kind of don't know what you're doing. You're like and everybody's kind of looking at you and they're all like, what is he doing? You know, they're like, he's doing something interesting, why doesn't he? And they say it's this archetypal energy in you. Like, I don't know if I believe in it exactly, but I feel it in myself. They say that you kind of also are kind of like, I don't know exactly, you know, you're kind of just, they call that
together.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you had times where it's been really dark, where you feel like you're not maybe making an impact, where you start to judge yourself as something of, you know, not having an influence in the world or impacting other people's lives?
Man, I'm glad you asked that question, because I could say for sure, definitely. And, you know, to bring that home, when I go out and there's a cashier that asks me, how's it going? That's like, you know, or somebody, whoever, I love attempting to think of new fun ways to answer that aren't typical. You know, a common one I found not too long ago was, oh, I'm dying. And
what?
Yeah, they're like, huh? And I'm like, yeah, it's a birth thing. It's a birth thing, you know.
Yeah,
and then,
it's a birth thing.
Yeah. I'm stealing that. I'm going to use that from now on. That's hilarious.
And then I go, you know, my mom and dad, they did the thing, you know, the thing. And then and then I'll be like, but you know, I'm kind of like an STD, you know, my name's Joey. What's your name? And so it's pretty absurd.
We went to Walmart yesterday, and the cashier, I said, how are you doing? He goes, better that you're here.
Oh,
and I go, oh, really? Yeah. And then he goes, I'm sad to see you guys leave. And I said, really? Why? And he says, well, it's kind of like the last day at Disneyland. Like, you know, you got to go, but you really you're going to miss it. Like, this is the cashier at Walmart.
Wow, that's awesome.
Like, what a way to interact. Like, I left out, I was smiling walking out of there. Right.
Yeah.
Like, better that you're here.
That's cool. That's a cool answer. Yeah. I'm going to try that one out if it feels appropriate. But there's to answer your question about, you know, times of confusion, if there are times that somebody asks me that and I don't feel particularly like a little silly or something like that, I've closed my eyes and I've been like, everyday many emotions, it'll probably change. Thanks for reminding me, you know, like, and I think that's true, honestly, for me, whether that's fixable or great or not, is that I could say most days, everyday many emotions. Most days there's points in my life, maybe not every day, I don't know really, but I think most days at least there's points where I'm like, oh man, what is life about? What am I doing? And how do I do this or that? Or some sort of like existential angst. and then there's other parts of the day where it's so giddy and wonderful, and like socially, like sometimes in like I'll be in a social situation where everybody's going insane because of something I'm doing, and it's quite fun. But then, you know, earlier in the day, it might have been a moment or two of, and those things can be convincing. You know, it used to be that when someone asked me how you doing and I was feeling bad, I really didn't like the dissonance of having to pretend or telling the truth either way.
Yeah.
And I felt like I was stuck in, I felt like when it would feel bad, I would think I feel bad, and I've always felt bad. And anytime I felt good was not real or something like that.
Yeah.
So now I use it as an opportunity to remind myself every day, many emotions. It'll probably change in a little while. Thanks for asking. You know,
I like that. Ryan, did you have a thought around it?
I was just thinking about like my life, and I felt the same way a lot of times where, you know, like I'm not doing well, but somebody says, "How you doing?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm great."
yeah.
You know, if you told them how you were really feeling, they'd be like, "Oh."
You go Goonies on them, right?
Yeah.
5th grade there was this, and 6th grade I stole an ice cream. And yeah, people. I guess there might be a limit to what you would share, but you know, the admittance or the realization that every day there are emotions, and it is a part of the journey. We have it built into our 12 journeys. The first 6 journeys are all about emotion, and going through the hard times. Sometimes they're very convincing, like you say, and you really start to believe the story that's going on in your mind in the negative direction, you know, the unuseful way.
Mm-hmm.
And that really hinders people. Some people really, they have a hard time to the point of even wanting to take their lives from it.
Mm-hmm.
And getting to the space of, you know, every day there are going to be emotions, and creating some acceptance for ourselves around it, because we're humans. We're going to have emotions. Some of those are going to be very heavy and very convincing, but it's also okay that those are there as much as the positive ones. Like, I remember somebody saying, you know, if cavemen were happy when they killed an elephant, they were permanently happy. They would never kill another elephant to eat, and they would starve to death. Like, it's not meant to be permanent. It's meant to be fleeting.
Yeah.
Just like every other emotion.
Yeah. And it's kind of cool to train ourselves when those things happen. Is like, you know, it's like through observation techniques, or like Vipassana type stuff. You know, it's like, I like, okay, I'm seeing that, and maybe if I can even at times with a friend describe it, then as I describe it, I'm kind of not being it. Actually, I'm looking at it more, and then there can be that what I am is observer, and can observe things that are sensationally like disturbing, you know, like, but not have to do something about it. Even.
Not non-attached observation, right? Like, it can see it, it'd be disturbing, but it wouldn't mean anything in here necessarily. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, and that what I can, anybody I feel like can reach is that point where, you know, like, I've purposely given myself some intense meditations. I gave myself a black fly meditation up in northern Canada, where I went to the forest and I was like, I'm not going to itch my scratch for a full day, and I'm going to just get bitten by black flies. I came back a bloody mess. There's pictures of me, and I was just crazy bloody. And I just was like, I don't have to do something about this. I gave myself this
Wow.
trial to do. And those kinds of things can be great for you. You know, they're great nervous system trainers. Or there's in the you know, jungle medicines, you know, there's one called Sananga. They put it in your eyes, and it hurts so bad. But it's if one can go into that with the intent that it be a nervous system training for them, it can be really great. That they don't need to like clench against it. That their job is to not clench against it, or to just keep relaxing their face. That those kinds of nervous system trainings can apply to, you know, all the discomfort emotions or physical things, or,
Yeah, we try and stay in the comfort, don't we? I finish out my showers with ice water. Like I turn it to the cold, and it's miserable. But the more I can relax into it, afterwards there's this rush of dopamine from being able to do it. But during it, you go almost into a meditative state of just shutting off the running notion, right? The flee from it, or doing something about it, right? Trying to get back to comfort. You just sit in the discomfort. And what I love about that, like you say, it's a nervous system training, which we tend to want to stay in the comfort. And so we stay there and we try and hold all we can to stay in the comfort. And then we're pissed because our life's so uncomfortable. It's not changing because we're like so comfortable that we're uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I thought
It's
of
a paradox.
I thought of the movie Happy Gilmore, where he goes into the baseball, the batting cages, and he's like, he has nothing to do with baseball. He's a hockey player, but he's got 364 more days till next year's hockey tryouts because he didn't make the team. So he's got to toughen up. So he lets the balls just hit him in the chest. No padding, no nothing. He's like, yeah, that hurt a little bit. Bring it on. Like I was thinking about the flies, and I'm like, yeah, the first one that like landed on me, I'd be like, I got an itch. It's hilarious.
I wonder, if you could share your vision of what you have as a hope moving forward, as a creation, like Joey's legacy, what you would leave behind as a legacy from your creation, and what that creation might be. Do you have a sense of what that is?
Yeah. Thanks for asking.
Yeah.
So, I've been doing my 4-day yoga massage academy trainings for 8 years, and I took some time off during the pandemic. I restarted it. I had my first one in August. After I had 4 of the students come with me, I finished my course on a Monday. It was Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, a bit of Monday. And then on Wednesday, I went to Burning Man, and 4 of my students came to Burning Man with me and got a bunch of their practice hours at the biggest tent on the playa that my camp created. We created the biggest, sun-covered, wind-covered, carpeted, floored tent on the playa. And I taught some healthy, healing, humble, heroic, happy, harmonious human talk, touch, and movement courses. And I also said, hey, these are some of my massage monks, mermaids, or masters, whatever they want to call themselves, they can. And I introduced, so get some work from them. They need to get some practice hours, and all y'all don't need my permission. You can work on each other here while we're not doing stuff. Anyway, I used to also do a thing where people come and live with me for 30 days. And I had other people teaching other things in that besides what I teach. And we would wake up in certain ways. We would eat in certain silent ways. And we would do communication training every week, because it was like 5 people who didn't know each other, plus me and my girlfriend and her 3 kids, all in a house. And so you got to have the communication couched in a context that makes a lot of sense, So we would there's a 3-hour intro to nonviolent communication on YouTube with Marshall Rosenberg. Really awesome stuff, and really great kindergarten stuff. I feel like it's accessible to everyone. So we would do that on the first day, a 45-minute segment of that. And then every week we would add to that. And whenever there was communication trouble, it would be, oh, this is opportunity for us to practice what we've been learning about the nonviolent communication training. So anyway, I'm building for something even more impactful than that. I say the Yoga Massage Academy is looking for 10 massage monks, mermaids, masters, mams, whatever you want to call yourself, you can. People who want to make a meaningful difference in the area of being fitness professionals who are set on being more strong, more flexible, better and better at communication, creating really, really valuable offers, and making a big service project. So let's say we'll do this in February in like Miami or something like this. I haven't got the place yet, and I haven't got the dates yet, but call it for 44 days for forever. And there's it's not just for those students, but it's for the location too. And the students will do a service project for the location, so that on the Sundays we'll do a projector in the park of that same nonviolent communication training, pass out worksheets, pause the video, have people do it, have a sociological study done to see if it's really helpful. And I want to fund that to happen for 2 more months after the 44 days for forever thing is finished, so that my impact in the world is that I want to leave behind, these yoga massage monks, mermaids, masters, ma'ams, whatever they want to call themselves, they can again. And but also that perhaps in some way, and at the 44 days for forever thing, there's an interesting schedule where we do 1 through set. So the first 4 days are the regular training that I do. The first 4 days are the regular thing that I do quarterly usually, and then after that it's separated into 4 10s. And those 10s are called strongs. They're not called weeks. You hear the difference? They're completion set cycles. Yeah. And we're enforcing our own metaphysics on the world. We're not taking the metaphysical force of 7-day completion set cycle. We're saying 10, and just because we can. And then we're for 7 days, it's based on purposeful production, and we use scheduling by group decision, what our scheduling will be, sobriety by group decision, what that means. There'll be certain definite things for that and certain definite things for schedule 2, and strengthening and stretching and studying and strategy. And people will have certain, let's say that somebody said they want to make an album by the time they're done. So after we're done with our sunrise and our stretching and our strengthening, they'll be working on that. Or let's say they didn't want to once touch the internet, then that's their thing. They meditate all day, or they create their business as body workers the way we are. Whatever they do, it's for purposeful production, days 1 through 7, and then days 8, 9, and 10, the strong end, not the weekend. It's for rest, relaxation, rejuvenation, recreation, and adventure of some sort. Huh. So yeah, I mean, I hope that someday this is this idealism that I have, is that someday we could have it be that I've had martial arts teachers who told me it would be great if all young men had martial arts as a tool in their hand. But what if and that's cool. I love martial arts. I think it's great. In fact, a lot of my healing arts utilizes martial principles. Interestingly, when you think about martial principles, it's actually some way where you march, to tell you the truth. I would have to show you some things, some angles that I'm talking about and stuff like that. But wouldn't it be great if we all knew how to have this healthy, healing, humble, heroic, harmonious, happy human talk, touch, and movement? If everybody knew how to listen, talk, touch each other well, and in respectful ways. A big thing I do is I've desexualized touch in my courses, and I talk about all these ways that people have tried to sexualize my touch towards them, even, various ways that's happened, and how I've dealt with it and what I've done, and how I don't actually judge people who do that in some way, unless they're doing it sneaky. I do have a few students of mine who are kind of specifically in that industry in Toronto anyways. And that if people have come to me making that obvious that they want that, I've been like, I don't do that. No, somehow. Yeah. Or I've been like, different ways of handling those odd kind of boundary things. And then, perhaps saying, hey, if you want, this or that, I got a very professional friend who does intervaginal adjustments, actually, like that. And she's actually not I wouldn't say she's anything like in the sex industry. She's very clinical, actually, Yeah. And, but just, I guess what I'm trying to say is that I think a lot sexualized touch has traumatized a lot of us, actually, to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
It can be healing, but it's because people don't know what is, it's actually quite a problem. And because people don't I get really, really pretty, I can get, I don't know, I might have a client put my head on their shoulder, oh, you're so great, it's healthy the way it is. And people kind of don't know, I've even been involved in strong spiritual communities where everybody's like this kind of, they're like, they don't want to touch one another. And on the other hand, I've been in tribal communities where we all laid out on this one platform. We had nets around us, because if we would have rolled off, we would have rolled off into the jungle. And just at night, the way all the family is laughing with one another and talking with one another. Oh. it's so Hobbitine, you know, or Hobbitine. I don't, but
It's a word now. If it's not a word,
yeah,
very
yeah,
Hobbit.
exactly. So I have a desire to return us to our hobbit holes a little bit, and somehow take us away from the towers of Mordor, something like this, in those ways.
Well, the clarity of vision. There's a book that came to mind, Gulag Archipelago, that was written while the man was in prison. He couldn't write it down, so he wrote the entire thing before he was released, and then transferred it over after the entire series. Isn't it a series? I believe it's a series. But his whole vision and what he discovered was created before it was created. It was almost in this realm where you could see it before you could actually touch it, before it was a reality. And as you describe your vision, Joey, I hear that inside of it is that if I were coming in wondering, what's Joey up to, and is that something I'd want to be a part of, I would hear it in such a way that this is already happening, even if it's not already happening. That I would have a clarity of vision, but also what that does is it anchors in the values that you would create within yourself to align with that vision. Not sexualizing this. Like that's a value that you'll hold as you create that vision. You know that it's not that. So anything you do from here to that would be in alignment with that construct, right? Like you would be able to clarify your values, and then that would also clarify your thoughts and what you would pursue and what learning you would gain, because it would all support that vision, which is so clear. I mean, Catherine Lee calls it a memory of things yet to be.
Nice.
It's a prospection. Instead of reminiscing, it's a prospection of what's to come. And somebody would be able to connect with that and say, yeah, I'm aligned with that. I want to be a part of that vision. If we're not clear on our vision, it's hard to get clear on our values. And if we're unclear on our values, we'll just take whatever path comes, because we'll just align with whatever shows up. Right. But when you have your vision lined out, then you know what aligns with that. And that becomes your value system. And that's what you act on. You start to think and perceive and act toward that. And so I could see how that would be very valuable. Man, we've already gone, 56 minutes here, which is crazy. But I want to ask, if there was one piece of wisdom that you could share with yourself going back in time that you could carry forward, what would that be?
Yeah, I used to often think I wished that there could be some sort of like man who would be like, when I was little, hey, come here. Yeah. And I had been like, hey, you don't even have to answer, but tell me, is it not like this for you, and this and this and this and this for you? It'd be like, look, you don't even need to say it. It would be like in an ideal situation. I would love it if somebody would have done that and been like, listen, you're in compromised situations. These happen in life, and it's okay where you're at, and don't do your best, but on another level, don't take it too seriously. All the things that people say should, and the official stuff, and the things, play your own game a little bit. Interestingly, I always wanted that, and I always wished I would have had that, but somehow I kind of feel like I am being that now. So that's kind of a really kind of
you're cool. You're that man, right?
Yeah.
Now that's interesting. Ryan, what thoughts do you have?
Yeah, what a gift. I'm sitting here, I've been fairly quiet, and a lot of times I'll do that on an episode, especially when I'm learning and soaking in somebody else's way of being. And I haven't thought of some of these things that Joey's talked about, or they've come up, but then he's presented it in a different way, and the way that he is doing things. So it makes me think differently about him. And so I'm sitting here thinking, wow, what a gift, that you were able to go through the experiences that you went through. Some of them were painful, some of them were hard, some of them tested, it was the official stuff that tested your boundaries and where you're at, and maybe that current way of being. And you start thinking, man, well, what if this, what if that? And that's what giants do, is they go through these experiences in their life for whatever reason. Some of them come in just because of natural, living life. Some of them you've put yourself in those positions, but you've gained experience that now you can take it and have possibility thinking, and how can I make the world a different or a better place, or help somebody else along their path. And that's for me, like running into you and meeting you in Phoenix, and seeing your way of being. And now having you on the show and teaching us some new things, at least for me, and probably for others. Some people might sit at home and go, I don't relate to that as much, but it's okay. It's such everybody's journey is so different. But if this can help somebody in their journey, that's what this whole Wake Up with Giants is about. Is wherever you are. And Joey's way of being, it's beautiful. It's amazing. It's giant. It can help people in their journey. And you definitely helped me today. And I've got some words to go look up, because there's some bigger words that you guys use, and I'm like, I need to look about, and just your way of doing something has me pause and think, I wonder, maybe, what if? And those things can help us grow in our journey. And you're doing an amazing job, man. And I applaud you and appreciate you for taking the time today to sit with us, to teach us, and to help us see a new way. And so thank you so much, Joey. You're an amazing man, and I appreciate all that you've offered for us today.
Thank you, brothers. Thank you, both of you. Thanks for leading this conversation. I appreciated my relationship with both of you.
Yeah.
And the leading of the conversation. Thank you so much.
Can we, is it okay to share you with these guys? I'm going to throw this up there, how to connect with you.
For sure. Yeah.
You mentioned that you don't have a program fully developed yet, but it's in creation. I mean, you visioned it for us today. It's beautiful. But people can experience you right now and message you, and really they could have a session with you right now, and it'll be everything that you shared in this conversation today. So I would invite those that are watching, if it speaks to you, to reach out to Joey. If you got curiosity or questions around this, just reach out and have that conversation, because what I know about Joey is he's not going to manipulate you into working with him. He'll hold space and listen to you in a way you've never been listened to. And it would be worth it to just reach out to him and just have that conversation. And so that's where you can explore and see if you want to explore, working with him or doing anything else. But really just get into conversation with Joey. You'll be heard in a way maybe you haven't been heard before. And then when you do work with him, your body will be heard in a way it's never been heard before. And in a non-sexualized way, which I think is powerful and important to say, because there is a lot of trauma out there from that area. And so I think it's very important to just establish that here is what I know of Joey is he will absolutely respect that. And so if not, come see me, and we'll go see Joey together.
Yeah. Take me to task. Take me to task for sure.
Yeah. Well, guys, thanks. Yeah, go ahead.
Really quick, just to add to that, if you reach out to me, I sort of functionally serve often as a monk nowadays. So in different ways, you'd be surprised what we can create. Like I'm here at a client's place, and when I'm at a client's place, like I'm here to be truly helpful. I'm here to not be in the way. I'm here to, when I hear a certain thing that may be helpful for you, if that's, it's different. Each relationship I have clients that I kind of do like VIP immersive retreats for. I have clients that I do, quick one-offs for. I've done, lots of expos where it's just $1 a minute or something like that. It could be various levels, but also when it comes to training, if people want to learn what I do and are looking for creating that, then, there's been many times where a training was created around 1 or 2 people that were like, I really want to do this. Okay. You really want to do this? You create the date. We'll create the date for you. And then we'll invite around that date, for you and your friends. So if people want to reach out for those 2 reasons, those would be good reasons.
Yeah. Perfect. Yeah. It's cool, because you will travel. For the client, which is amazing. So very accessible, very serving, very powerful. Just want to honor you. From the time that I met you, I mean, we talked about the heart hiker, the hitchhiking, the idea of creating an experience around hitchhiking, right? Yes. No plan, just going out with Joey and hitchhiking, I still have that on a vision. It's one of my visions that'll occur. But you just have a way of being that's very in tune and fluid, and a fingerprint that won't be matched in the world because you've done it in such a way that it can't be matched. You've adapted it in such a way that that is truly unique. And so, yeah, just want to honor you and thank you for being on the show.
Thanks, brothers. Looking forward to the next time we get to hang out.
Yeah. For those that are watching, continue to watch, share these shows with your friends and family. Our vision is to help them remember the giant that they are. You're exactly where you're supposed to be. You're on the path that you should be on. Keep stepping, keep doing the things that you're dreaming of. You can create it. You are powerful. So we will watch you or see you on the next episode.
Love you
Have
too.
a great day.
Ciao.